This is chapter 2 of my video about Kunwu Excalibur. The one I covered the box opening, first impressions, comparisons, functionality, all the human factor, all the important daily carry factors. I even put the blade under the microscope to see how well it's sharpened. And now we're ready to get down, dirty, and a little crazy with performance factors. Hi there! If you're watching this video on the first day of its release, thank you for being a member of my channel. And if you're watching it a few days later, I appreciate you stopping by. Alright, so to measure the edge retention, I start with a factory edge that you just saw. I picked the spot where it looked better than at the tip. And I'm using a 4-pound fishing line that I purchased from Walmart. It's very similar to the media used in BESS tests. And I'm using direct pull using my I'm going to do it in grams, and this is a trigger gauge, so basically very similar but not identical. The results don't correlate to theirs because they use a leverage push, but it's the same principle. And of course I wasted a loop because I didn't set the value hold. Here you go. Get rid of this. And 423 grams. Perhaps now is a good time to mention that if you would like to watch videos like this on the day of their release, I'm offering channel memberships. The link will be provided in the description and you will be able to see them right away. Must have got into the spot where the striation ends. And one more time. The reason I started offering memberships is to keep my channel independent from the knife industry so that I can continue delivering honest, unbiased reviews. So we're a little bit all over the place, but you saw the edge is not perfect. And now I'm going to take 10 back and forth passes for 20 cuts with this buckhorn. Buckhorn is an ideal media for testing the edge. It tests the trifecta: edge stability, wear resistance, and toughness of the secondary bevel. So how well it's supported. And the reason it does it so well because it has minerals, carbon structure, and proteins in its composition. So it's nature's perfect tester. So apply even pressure, about 2 to 4 pounds. I would like to thank everyone who hits the like button, comments under my videos. If you don't read the comments, you are missing out because I get some of the most knowledgeable, savvy knife enthusiasts commenting under my videos. Please do read them. Put it a little bit farther out and see what it does now. I consider a blade at 1,000 grams to be dull. And this one almost hit it there. So could have been a bad spot. Okay. All right, so we got our results and I'm putting them on the screen right now. All right, to put it on the hype smasher, I first need to secure it in this clamp. And to do that, I had to remove the pocket clip. That's what it looks like underneath. So that looks like it's just a titanium clip that was torch oxidized on this side here. And then some of that coloration made its way down on this side. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that almost as much machining goes into making this piece as the entire frame. Quality CNC work here. Smooth underneath. I'm surprised they put the spring cutout on the outside of the handle, not on the inside like you see on Chris Reeve or Spartan knives. I don't buy that this somehow decrements the ability to resist stress. I think it has more to do with controlling final thickness of the connecting piece here. Manufacturing process, not the design or not making it stronger. I think it's just easier for them to cut it on this side and keep control over the final thickness in this area. Either way, controlling that thickness makes the knife stronger, so I'm fine with that. My standard setup for frame locks, I place a small piece of rubber in front of the locking bar before I place it into the clamp so that it emulates your gripping the knife. Let me change the camera angle here. Here we are. My Hype Smasher consists of the clamp that I just showed you and the modified arbor press. Hit like right now if you think the knife will survive this test. Do it quickly before the ram drops. Ready? No problem. Again, I'm not worried about this ram scratching the blade because it's DLC. It's probably 20 HRC points higher than the hardness of this ram. The ram weighs 2.5 pounds, and the drop distance is 6 inches or 1/2 of a foot. Let me check. Nothing came loose. Okay. And the last strike. Either way. All right, so like something on the way. Still closes. I didn't talk about drop shottedness. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think it works exactly as it's supposed to. This knife passes the smasher test. There's no visible damage. Let's see how it functions. Yeah, still opens. Either way. With a blade that long, I'm trying not to strike something on the way. Why did I mark 5/16 distance from the tip onto the blade? So that I know how deeply will I insert this knife in the wooden clamp here that basically arrests the blade firmly. And some hammering needs to be involved here. Light tapping. Don't worry, DLC stayed fine. There are no marks on the handle. So I'm going to put this blade in bending. My carpenter compass is set to 15 degrees. That's how far we're going. And I'm marking a 6-inch line from the insertion point to where on the blade I'll be gripping it. And I'm going to use my trigger gauge to pull onto the handle. I'm measuring the force in pounds, and then I'll multiply it by inches, which is 6. And that's our total. Going slowly here, I'm a little nervous. I don't work with Van Axe very often. So what we got here, 37.2 inch-pounds of torque. That's plenty of strain on the blade, especially I'm in a pretty thin portion of the blade. I don't know, folks, if you realize, but I always hold my breath when I do this because losing a tip on an expensive knife would be a bad thing. So let me know in the comments what you think about this test. Do you find it entertaining? After all, my video is for entertainment purposes only. 37.8 inch-pounds. It's interesting that the force increased as I was going through this. I wonder if this still work hardens. I have no way of knowing it. All right, now I'm putting it into torque torture here. I'm applying as much force as I can exert with my puny medium-sized hand. But it does put all the hardware, especially screws and pins, under immense amount of strain. If the knife survives these 3 tests, spine whack, bending, and twisting, that means it's an overkill design, which is something that every knife should be. Looking for any damage, the blade looks straight, nothing shifted. It flicks and closes the same as before. Blade centering is incredible, spot-on centering. So I would say this knife passes these tests. What do you guys think? Would you do that to your knife by accident or on purpose? Let me know in the comments. And now I'm setting up to check the blade for flatness, meaning did I actually bend the tip and just can't see it with my naked eye. And this is as simple as placing your blade on the block on a flat surface and checking for rocking on the primary grind. I detect no rocking on either side. Congrats, Kunwu, this knife definitely survived my torture tests. And again, it functions as if it was brand new out of the box. A lot of people that watch my videos skip this part where I verify calibration of my meter here, of my Leeb tester, because, you know, it's repetitive and it always comes out to be within 1 or 2 calibration points. But I'm going to do it in this video anyway, because every time I critiqued Kunwu, I had Kunwu fans coming after me. And what's amazing about that, most of these guys buy a Kunwu, play with it for a couple to 6 months, and then resell it. So maybe they're angry at me for finding anything negative because they perceive that it hurts their resale value. Well, if they're worried about resale value, they should invest into American knives. Because collecting Chinese knives, it's kind of like dating your second cousin. Legal in most states, but nothing to brag about. Alright, the stopwatch is running. The running stopwatch indicates that I'm not cutting, editing, or altering this segment in any way, shape, or form. I will not be removing DLC coating. It is stupid. If you think that half a micron of coating will affect the hardness test, you are not well read on the topic. And I've done it once on another Kunwu, and the result spoke for itself, so I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. As you can see, the results are running in a pretty unimpressive range. But Vanix really can't go much higher. I don't remember, and I don't care what they advertise on their website. I established firmly in the previous videos that you cannot trust advertisement of any company who does not heat treat their blades in the house. And I would be very surprised if Kunwu heat treated their blades, because they're a small company making a couple hundred knives a month. Prohibitively expensive to get in a heat treat in the house. There is a very detailed article of Knife Steel Nerds by Dr. Larry Thomas that describes capabilities or lack thereof of Vanix when it comes to heat treat. I see my test results, and even though it's not an industry standard test, by now I developed a full confidence that for this blade, this one blade in my possession, my readings are accurate. And I'll add to that your blade can end up being heat treated differently from mine. So this is not a good statistical sample. And I have a disclaimer to that effect in the description. Well, in Lauren Thomas's article, he states that the highest he could get the Vanix was 62 HRC, and the normal range is 59 to 61. Kunwu advertises 60 to 61. So what I got here is a 4-cylinder Mustang without a turbo. And to go on with this analogy, it lost 30% of its value, just like a Mustang when you drive it off the dealership parking lot. And why is that? Because, you know, they're going to make a gazillion of them now. Cheaper versions, more expensive versions, I heard that on YouTube as well. So you're not really missing out. So what I'm doing next here at the bottom of the screen, you see me unscrewing the pivot on Kunwu S-Tau, because this blade is also made out of Vanix, but it's not DLC coated. It's left in the rough. So I'm curious to see, how do the two compare? A famous YouTuber keeps saying that coating, such as DLC or PVD, reduces hardness by 1 point. So if I were to believe that, this should be coming out at or above 61 HRC. Resetting the gauge here, and here we go. Hit a dislike if you disagree with anything I say. So likes versus dislikes are valuable data for me. So keep doing this if you are so inclined. Don't forget to share the video if you like it. Hit the share button and copy the link. You don't have to send it anywhere. Just that gesture is sufficient for algorithm to promote my video. What do we got here? Basically the same hardness as the coated blade. All right, and we're going to flip it on the other side now after wiping it off thoroughly. I'm using this gel. This is actually an incompressible gel because it consists out of 70% alcohol and 30% natural oil extract. So it is actually a Newtonian gel, in my humble, non-chemistry savvy opinion. Anyway, sheep's foot blade. I wish there are fewer of them now. They were kind of cool and funky when they first got popular or re-popularized. But I'm getting tired. I like stabbier knives than that. Even Warncliffe would be great. And just for comparison, let's throw this White River backpacker knife on the block for the 5th or 6th time. This knife became my calibration gauge, actually, because it consistently comes between 63.5 and 65.5 HRC points. So I'm getting same accuracy on it as I would expect from a Rockwell tester. And to that point, I will link a video in the description that shows the entire logic behind me trusting this Leeb tester. I'm not going to bore you in this video with that. All right, let's get into scoring. No point for weight length being above 3. Not legal in all jurisdictions. Weight is on the heavy side above 4 ounces, so no point there. And edge to weight ratio is only 0.64. I was able to put it into the pocket with one hand because those pens worked, but it did not work on my EDC meter, and therefore no points there. Retention in the pocket was good, 1 point there. There are 4 ways to open this blade, and all of them are snappy and good. Could be 5 if I had a way to get my middle finger under this thumb stud, which was not possible. It is not finger safe because it's a frame lock. It did not unlock on the smasher. There was no damage from spine whacking test. The steel is complex powder metallurgy alloy, so 2 points. And the heat treat is within advertised range, barely, but it is within. I'll give them that. Tip survived the durability tests. Blade remained straight, and no play opened up. Built as a tank. Edge retention only scores 2 because the knife lost 47% of its sharpness. Behind the edge, thickness is definitely under 30 thousandths, and it has a high flat grind, making it a very slicey knife once the edge is stropped, of course. And another point for effective edge being more than half the length of the blade. And now we're getting into the joy factors. It gets 10% bump for material quality, another 10% for bragging rights, being a desirable knife at this point in time. It's definitely corrosion resistant between the material selection and coatings, and blade shape is beautiful. So it should get a pretty good bump in the joy factor department, but the retail price is horrendous. I think it's overpriced by $200. And please don't try to tell me that these little titanium details worth that kind of money. All right, so where does it land on overall scoring? It looks like it's a 5th place, but it's really a 4th place because there are 2 knives tying for the 1st place. And now I'm going to adjust it in the joy factor category. Let's see how it lands. And just like that, it's in the 3rd place now, behind Oz Machine and Civivi Yonder. That's a pretty high score. And now we're going to go for bang for the buck. Rearrange this column. And you get Excalibur down toward the bottom. I think it's a 2nd from the bottom because the price is so high. So this is a little bit subjective. Some people disregard the price. You can feel free to adjust it any way you want. But here you go. Let's put it in order on like straightforward scoring. board, and we are at the 4th position right now, behind 4 other knives. All right, let me know in the comments how you feel about this grading system. Chapter 2 is done. I will post Chapter 3 video where I'll be talking about integral construction. It's going to drop tomorrow.